For almost 100 years, it was just a blurry dot. 3 billion miles away, a mystery world we knew almost nothing about. To get there, we had to build the fastest spaceship in history and send it on a 9.5-year journey. It had one shot to get everything right. This is the story of how we pulled off the impossible and turned that fuzzy dot into a world more incredible than we ever imagined. This is the story of New Horizons. For decades, Pluto was the last planet we'd never seen up close. After its discovery in 1930, it was just this tiny speck of light, even in our best telescopes. What was it actually like? Was it just a boring ball of ice or something more? For scientists like Alan Stern, this question was an obsession. Starting in the late 80s, Stern and his team fought tooth and nail to get a mission to Pluto. But it was a total nightmare. Proposals were cancelled over and over, called too expensive or too hard. It was a 20-year-long roller coaster, and they were running out of time. Pluto was getting farther from the Sun on its massive 248-year orbit, and scientists were worried its thin atmosphere would literally freeze and collapse onto the surface before a ship could see it. They were in a race against the clock. Finally, after years of pushing, NASA said yes. The New Horizons mission was a go. And yeah, just after it launched, scientists decided Pluto wasn't a planet anymore, but who cares? They were finally going to the last unexplored world of the classical solar system. You don't just build a spacecraft for a 3 billion mile trip. This thing had to be a genius. Engineers designed a probe about the size of a grand piano and crammed it with 7 of the most advanced instruments ever made. These gadgets were its eyes and ears. Lori, a crazy powerful camera, would give us our first real look at Pluto. Other tools like Ralph and Alice would map its surface and even see what its atmosphere was made of. But how do you power a spaceship a billion miles from the sun? Solar panels are useless out there, so they gave it a nuclear battery. That's right. A radioisotope thermoelectric generator, or RTG, uses the heat from decaying plutonium to create electricity. It lets New Horizons work in the freezing, dark abyss of space. Every single part was designed for a mission with 0 second chances. On January 19, 2006, New Horizons launched like a bullet. It was the fastest thing humanity had ever sent into space, screaming away from Earth at over 36,000 miles per hour. It passed the moon in just 9 hours, a trip that took the Apollo astronauts 3 days. But even at that insane speed, the journey would take almost a decade. To speed things up, they planned a crazy flyby. A year after launch, New Horizons swung by Jupiter, using the giant planet's gravity like a slingshot. This move boosted its speed by another 9,000 miles per hour and shaved 3 years off the trip. While it was there, it tested its cameras and got some insane shots of Jupiter and its volcanic moon Io. Then came the long, lonely part. For the next 8 years, the spacecraft was put into hibernation to save power. It was just coasting through the blackness, a silent messenger heading for the edge of our solar system while the team on Earth waited. In December 2014, after 9 years, New Horizons woke up. It was showtime. But as it got closer, the danger got real. Scientists had found new moons around Pluto, and they were terrified there might be a hidden minefield of dust and rock in its path. At 30,000 miles per hour, hitting something as small as a grain of rice would have destroyed the spacecraft instantly. Then, just 10 days before the flyby, disaster almost struck. Mission Control lost contact. The spacecraft was silent. A single command had overloaded its main computer, forcing it into safe mode. For 90 terrifying minutes, the team had no idea what was happening. They were billions of miles from home, with every message taking 9 hours to go back and forth. In a heart-stopping race against time, they figured out the problem and fixed it. The mission was saved. On July 14, 2015, it finally happened. After a 9.5-year, 3 billion mile journey, New Horizons flew through the Pluto system. It couldn't slow down, so it had just a few hours to get all the pictures and data it came for. Then, more waiting. After the flyby, the probe turned away from Earth to keep taking measurements. The team had to wait for the phone home signal to know if it even survived. Finally, at 8:53 p.m. Eastern Time, the signal came through. Mission Control erupted. They had actually done it. The first images started trickling back to Earth, and they were worth the wait. That blurry dot was gone. Instead, we saw a world of stunning beauty and complexity. Pluto was alive. It had jagged mountains made of water ice as tall as the Rockies. It had a giant, heart-shaped glacier of frozen nitrogen called Sputnik Planitia that was actively flowing. There were even signs of ice volcanoes and a possible liquid water ocean hiding under the surface. Pluto had a blue atmosphere with layers of haze, something nobody expected, and its moons were just as weird. The biggest moon, Charon, had giant canyons and a strange red spot at its pole made from material that escaped from Pluto itself. But getting this data was painfully slow. Because of the distance, the transmission speeds were like old-school dial-up internet. It took 15 full months for New Horizons to send back all the treasures it had collected in just a few hours. Each picture completely rewrote what we thought we knew. But the mission wasn't over. After flying past Pluto, New Horizons still had fuel and set its sights on something even farther away, deep in the Kuiper Belt. On New Year's Day 2019, it reached a bizarre object called Arrokoth. This flyby set the record for the most distant object we've ever explored up close. Arrokoth looked like a flattened snowman, two ancient rocks that gently fused together billions of years ago. It's a perfectly preserved fossil from the birth of our solar system. Even today, New Horizons is still going. It's exploring the outer edges of the solar system, speeding away at nearly 300 million miles a year. It's on track to become the third functioning probe to enter interstellar space, carrying the story of its discoveries into the galaxy. The universe is full of insane stories like this. If you want to see more of them and join us on more crazy adventures, hit that subscribe button right now so you don't miss what's next.